There are only two things that I'm always underestimating: the weight of my Whole Foods salad bar container, and the human brain's inability to process things out of order. So today we're going to do the impossible. We're going to learn the guitar fretboard in a way that is actually out of order. We're going to do this in the key of D major because I think it's like such a perfect central location on the neck, okay? So when you think of like the D major scale, you might think of like, all right, here's the notes: D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, right? Or 3 notes per string, however you want to do it. You know, we've got A string 5-7, D string 4-5-7, G string 4-6-7. But how we're switching the game up, we're flipping the script today. We're gonna do the first 2 notes: D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Okay? So this is gonna be a really practical lesson because I think you may have already experienced something like this. It's like, all right, you know, you need to learn your scales and stuff like that, but it always ends up like sounding in order, right? And even if you want to practice them modally or something, you just find a different spot on the neck and then practice that in order, forward and backwards. Moving around in the scale is so important for your musicianship, and that's what we're gonna work on today, and just kind of like combine a bunch of stuff you probably already know. But first, let me put this guitar down to tell you about the sponsor of this video. It's where I just rested the guitar. Gator Stands. Gator and Sweetwater are sponsoring this video. They have hooked it up with some amazing new stands. I just saw these at GearFest. I love the guitar stand because it looks like the guitar legit just like disappears and is just like floating. It's super gorgeous. If you don't have Gator stands, I use their stands, their cases for pretty much everything that I have around here. So huge shout out to Gator and Sweetwater for sponsoring this video. Affiliate links will be in the description. All right, so starting with D major, right smack dab in the middle of the neck. Not really the middle of the neck, just off center. What I consider the middle of the neck, right? So we've got the D on the A string, 5th fret, and then we have the rest of the chord, right? You can see this is like an A major chord just on the 7th fret, okay? Now, there's our home chord, our tonic chord, if you want to look at it that way. But what I want to do is I want to follow this up with every other chord in this scale and every other note in this scale, right? So instead of playing through the major scale like this, we're going to start here, 5th fret to 7th fret, then go to the E string, 2, 3, 5, 7, back to the A string, 4, 5. So it'll look like this. Okay, now you'll notice that I'm not actually using every single one of my fingers because we're going to be turning these into chords that are based off of a root shape, all right? So, now that we know the notes, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Again, even though they're the exact same notes, really in the same note name order, our pitch is going down to that 3rd fret, or the 2nd fret to the 3rd note in the scale, the 2nd fret of the E string, right? And I think that's a really great thing to get your brain used to, because music doesn't work in sequential order. You'll be going down. Maybe if you want to get to a higher note, you have to actually octave down to get there. So I think this is going to be really helpful. Now, how we're going to start combining this with chords is going to be as follows. We're going to strike that root note of the entire key. Every single thing we're going to play for this first part of the lesson is going to be just this note, the 5th fret on the A string. I want to do it fretted. You could do it open D if you want. Rocking the Ernie ball. St. Vincent Goldie today, by the way. Affiliate link for that in the description too. You could do it open D, right? But I want to really focus here because then we can make all this movable, right? So we're going to strike that note and then play the D major chord again, which is just, like I said, 7th fret, D, G, and B. So just like that. I'm gonna add a little percussive thing because I can't not, because I filled up that Whole Foods salad bar with way too many beats, and I'm all hyped up on beats right now. And then we're gonna go to the next chord, but I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna strike that note again before I go into the 2nd chord in the D major scale, which is E minor, okay? So again, you can think of this as an A minor shape, just right, maybe 1 fret higher from where we started. Okay, see, so now I've got the 8th fret on the B string, the 9th fret on the G string, the 9th fret on the D string. Again, a perfectly acceptable way to play E minor. Or you can play it A string rooted bar chord, where it's 7, 9, 9, 8. However you want to do it. But we're gonna go a D major chord, back to the root note, then the 2 chord, then the 3 chord. Okay, this is where people get crazy here, right? It's such an interesting thing to kind of go backwards there. It almost like just listening to it. It almost seems unexpected, even though we're still doing it technically in order as far as the chord degrees and stuff go. And also I'm playing an F sharp minor 7, because it's easy. Nobody, come on, get out of here with this E string double, this bar chord here. We're just gonna go 2nd fret on the E string, skip the A string, and then 2, 2, 2, D, G, B, F sharp minor, the 3 chord in the key of D, right? From here, we're gonna go to a G major. You can play it open if you want. I'm actually just gonna play this version of a G major chord as the 4 chord here. 3rd fret on the B string, 4th fret on the G string, ring finger, 5th fret on the D string, because then I can move that to A. All right, so our 3, 4, and 5 chords are gonna be right there. Okay, so D and the 1 chord, D and the 2 chord, D and the 3 chord, D and the 4 chord, D and the 5 chord, D and the 6 chord. I'm gonna do another minor 7 chord voicing, which is gonna come in handy for the next part of this lesson where we get into minor pentatonic, because that's what everybody wants to do. And again, if you're wondering why this amp sounds so good, it's because it's set up on a Gator amp rack stand that just makes it look classy, and it's also easier for me to record. Gator stands, amazing, Sweetwater. Pick them up while you can. These things are flying off the shelf. Get it, right? So that 6 chord is gonna be B minor. I'm gonna play it just the 7th fret, just like the F sharp, but not the 7th fret. So 7, E, skip the A string, 7, 7, 7. We'll get to the C sharp minor 7, flat 5 in a second, but I want to talk about this 7th fret. Why is this 7th fret important, aside from it being where the B minor chord exists in this key? Well, we already played it, right? There's that major chord with a different root note. Definitely take special thoughtfulness about how there's my D major chord and my B minor 7 chord. And again, you may already know where this is going. This is also where the minor pentatonic scale sits. 7, 10, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 10, 7, 10. Or, if you want to be a true G, you can do the full minor scale. It doesn't really matter. Any way to do it, I'll just run through it real quick. Minor pentatonic would be 7, 10, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 10, 7, 10. Full B minor scale, 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, 11, 7, 9, 7, 8, 10, 7, 9, 10. We're going to be using both of these in the next part of this exercise. But let's go through all those chords after that root note. D major, D, E minor, D, F sharp minor, D, G major, D, A major, D, B minor. Okay? Now again, we'll get to that C sharp minor 7 flat 5 by the end of this video. Stay till the end for that guy. But we're going to extend how long each of these segments of practice gets to do something cool in that minor pentatonic scale, okay? So I'm gonna do it like this. This is an example of how we're gonna end up sounding. D major, D minor, D, F sharp, okay, so you'll notice I'm extending the time that I have, and I'm just ripping something off minor pentatonic. Again, it's the easiest thing to do, and it's the easiest way to fill space is just find out where your relative minor is. 6th note in any key. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, right? Or you can just do that trick to find where that relative minor pentatonic is. So what I've got here, I've got a root note, and the chord, and then root note, and the chord, then something. You can even order there, right? Because again, our brains are so used to putting things in order. I think this is still a good exercise to do even if you do it in order, but I would challenge you to maybe slide somewhere in through that minor pentatonic scale, because that's the easiest way to start breaking up those habits that we have of doing everything in order, right? Otherwise, if you just do the same, minor pentatonic licks, you're just going to look like a poser. You're not going to look like a real pro. One thing that's helped me look like a real pro, especially when it comes to my keyboard synthesizer game, is by getting a Gator double rack. I wasn't officially a keyboard player until I had the double rack. And now I feel like I can actually go on stage. I don't even need to know how to play a synthesizer. As long as you have two keyboards racked on top of another, people will take you more seriously. That's a fact. There are studies that prove that. Thank you, Gator Cases. Thank you, Sweetwater. Okay, so let's do that again, but we're gonna leave room just to do something in that minor pentatonic scale. Even if you wanna keep it easy, just keep it on the A string, D string, and G string. 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 9. So it's a nice symmetrical spot that you can always get to. And then we're also making these kind of like neural pathways from like way down here, F sharp minor. In fact, I'll do this with just these 6 notes right here. So D major 1 chord, D major 2 chord, D major 3 chord, D major 4 chord, D major 5 chord, D major 6 chord, D7. Now again, the way that I said that, like when I said D major, the 6th chord, that's not a D major 6 chord. It's a D major, then the 6th chord. I can't speak the commas in real time. I do my best, guys. But sometimes I talk fast. Speaking commas, that's going to be my next level up grammatically. After I try to eliminate the sound that I make after every word that I say, that people always feel like they need to comment on in YouTube videos. Did you know that you have an affectation to the end of your voice, sir? No, never been told that. Never been told that 100 million times on YouTube. But I'm working on it, guys. I'm doing my best, right? So that 7th note in the key of D, C sharp, right? There's that 7 chord, C sharp minor, 7, 5, 5. C sharp half diminished would be another name for this, right? So easy enough, 4, 5, 4, 5. Right there, just like that. That's all you need to do, right? So if we just went through the chord scale this way, it'd be D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor, 7, C sharp, half diminished, back to D. I'm fancy, so I like to end it on a D major 7. Just because what's better than that? 5A, 7D, 6G, 7B. Okay, so I'll slow that down again, and then we'll do it higher up through that minor pentatonic scale. Let's do the highest 3 strings. So G string 7, 9, B string 7, 10, E string 7, 10. D, then the 1 chord. D, then the 2 chord. D, then the 3 chord. D, then the 4 chord. D, then the 5 chord. D, then the 6 chord. D, then the 7 chord. D major 7. Oh, what's that? A little D major 7 pro tip for you? Anytime you're in, I do this live all the time. Side note, anytime you're in the key of D, this right here is a great voicing where it's open D, 2, 2, 2, and then slide that 12 frets an octave higher to the 14th fret, right? Amazing. It floors people. They fall down. People, I need a Gator stand that just holds my audience up for when I hit them with that at the end. They just topple over. You don't want that happening to your guitars, Get yourself a Gator stand. You won't regret it. So all this stuff is movable, right? You'll start to make these connections. Let's do in the key of F, right? Who plays the key of F right here? Now I'm on the 8th fret, right? Same same thing. Now it's 8A. There's my root note. 10, 10, 10 on the D, G, and B string, right? Now I know that whatever the relative minor is, it would be right here. Happens to be D minor. We do the same thing now. F, then the 1 chord minor pentatonic. F, then the 2 chord. F, then the 3 chord. F, then the 4 chord. F, then the 5 chord. F, then the 6 chord. F, then the 7 chord. Then F and home. Right? So there's a lot of utility for this, and I will say that one thing that I noticed, in fact, I think learning how to play bass guitar made me a lot better, is kind of like seeing where all the root notes are in relation to maybe going backwards. And this is kind of like what we're trying to do. We're just trying to find out a starting point for every single thing. Like once you kind of start seeing the root notes below, then you're doing stuff out of order and you're just having like more of a complete mastery of the neck in general, right? So if you have any questions or comments, send them in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter. Sign up for my Patreon if this is a little too advanced. I have more of like a sequential beginning to end type series of lessons on the Patreon. And thank you once again to Sweetwater and to Gator for supplying the amazing stands and cases. And like I said, if you have any questions, hit me up and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.